Hi PBC kids, I'm really excited to be here with you for another week of learning about God's Word. Last week we saw how God was continuing to keep his promises by growing Israel into a big nation. Because of that, Pharaoh was not happy and was threatened by their power. So he came up with a plan to make sure that they stayed away and weren't threats to him. So he made them slaves, he made the people of Israel slaves, and then he also decided that all of the baby boys needed to be killed. And God has his plan set the whole time, and through his plan there was a little baby boy that was saved. And his mother put him down the Nile River, and Pharaoh's daughter rescued him and then raised him. And his mother was kind of a nanny to him in a way. So we learned about Moses. Now this week we're going to continue to learn about Moses. When we left, he was being raised by Pharaoh's daughter, and so he was learning the Egyptian culture, but then his mother was kind of like a nanny to him, so he was also learning the Israelite culture. So Moses grew up, and he was living in the Pharaoh's palace. And one day he saw a Hebrew man being beaten up by an Egyptian man, and he knew that that was wrong. But instead of handling it God's way, he chose to handle it his own way. And he ended up killing the Egyptian man. Pharaoh got really angry and wanted Moses to be put to death for that. So Moses fled to a place called Midian. Midian is where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were all from. In this land, there were a lot of shepherds, and that's what a lot of people did for work. And back in that day, shepherds were usually the sons of people and boys. But there was this one family who didn't have any sons, and so their daughters were the shepherds. And because that was unusual, they kind of got bullied and weren't always able to do their job very well. So Moses got there and saw this happening and decided that that was not right, and he wanted to help them. And this time he did the right thing, and he stood up to the people who were bullying the girls and helped them get water for their sheep. They were so happy that he did this, they went back to their father and told him about it. And through that, he was very glad that Moses was there, and Moses ended up marrying one of his daughters and then working for him. Sometimes God's plan doesn't turn out exactly how we think the plan will go. If you think about it, Moses was living in a palace and living really well, and now he's gone to being a shepherd, which is not a very fun job. You're outside, it's hot, it's sweaty. So his life took a pretty drastic change. But God has a plan the whole time with what he wants to happen. And so we're going to see how God's plan worked out. One day while Moses was doing his job as a shepherd, he saw a bush that was burning. Now the Bible says that an angel of the Lord started the fire in the bush. If you know anything about fires, you know that the fire, if the right elements aren't there, end up burning out. Well, like if you've ever been to a campfire, the log turns black and then it breaks down until it's coals. This bush was not doing that. It was burning and burning and burning and burning, and it wouldn't stop. And Moses was very curious. So he went up to the bush, and then God said, "Stop, don't come any closer. Take off your sandals, for this is holy ground." And Moses immediately had respect and fear for God. God told Moses through this that he has heard the cries of his people. Remember, they were slaves in Egypt, and they weren't being treated very well. God heard their cries and wanted to deliver them from their slavery, and he was going to use Moses to do this. Now, picture yourself in this situation. It'd be kind of intimidating, right? You'd maybe have a lot of fear, a lot of questions. You probably wouldn't feel good enough. I know I wouldn't feel like I was good enough for this job. Moses had the same questions. He said, "I'm not good enough. Pharaoh won't listen to me. I don't know enough. The people won't trust me. I don't have the ability. No one will believe me. I don't have the right skills. No one will follow me. I'm not sure of myself. Please pick someone else." But that wasn't God's plan. God had a plan for Moses from the start, just like he has a plan for you and me from the start. God told Moses that even though he wasn't good enough, God was more than enough. And even though Moses didn't know enough, God knows everything. And even though Moses didn't have enough ability, God has more than enough ability. Even though Moses wasn't good at speaking in front of people, God would speak through him and give him the right words to say. God had a plan, and God was going to be there for Moses while that plan was going. If we think about it, God really didn't need Moses to do the plan on his own. God was using Moses for God's plan. So, to reassure Moses, because he had a lot of doubt, God showed him a few signs to tell Moses that he would take care of him. One thing he did is Moses had a staff, and God said, throw your staff on the ground. So Moses did, and it turned into a snake. The Bible doesn't say what kind of snake it was. We don't know if it was big or small, poisonous, not poisonous, but it was a snake. And I don't know about you, but I don't really like snakes. They're kind of scary. I know Pastor Mike doesn't like snakes. The other thing God told him was to pick the snake up by the tail. Now, I have this rope to help me because I don't want a real snake. So, if you pick a snake up by the tail, there's all of this left. And you can see that the snake has muscles, and so it can move, and it can move up and strike his hand. It can move up, strike his body. And so picking a snake up by the tail is probably not the wisest choice because it can still move around and bite you. But he trusted God and knew that God would take care of him, so he picked it up by the tail, and it turned back into his staff. Another thing that he told Moses is he said, put your hand in your cloak. So Moses did, and when he brought it out, his hand had leprosy all over it. Now, leprosy was a disease that was not very good. It was thought to be contagious. It was really uncomfortable. You had sores all over your body. And so Moses had this on his hand, and then God said, put it back in your cloak, and he did, and then he was clean. He didn't have leprosy anymore. Another sign God told Moses about is if he gets water from the Nile River and then pours it out on the floor, it will turn to blood. So through God showing Moses those signs, he felt more comfortable in knowing that God was going to be by his side, God was going to help him through it and do what he says he will do. Lastly, he told Moses that his brother Aaron was going to come and meet him and be a helper to him. And so with that, Moses felt comfortable and confident in going through with God's plan to go and help deliver the people of Israel. All right, PBC kids, we have some questions for you to complete, so send your answers to Jordan, and then if you get them right, he will send you something special in the mail. So if you are 3 to 5 years old, your question is, how did God show himself to Moses? If you're in kindergarten through 4th grade, your question is, where did Moses go after he killed the Egyptian man? And if you are in 5th and 6th grade, what excuses did Moses give for not wanting to be part of God's plan? Send your answers to Jordan and you can earn a prize. All right, PBC kids, our memory verse for this week goes really well with our lesson. Moses loved God and trusted God, and he is known by God. So 1 Corinthians 8:3 says, but if anyone loves God, he is known by God. We're going to come up with some motions to help us remember. So 1 Corinthians 8:3, but if anyone loves God, he is known by God. And then 1 Corinthians 8:3. We're going to do it one more time so that you can practice. 1 Corinthians 8:3. But if anyone loves God, he is known by God. I think this would be a great verse to keep in your heart and memorize so that you can know that you are known by God if you love God. And that's pretty comforting in any situation to know. So this week we learned that there are 2 ways to do things, God's way or the wrong way. We saw in the beginning that Moses didn't do it God's way. He ended up doing something that God really dislikes. And because of that, the plan changed and his life changed. But God still has a plan and is continuing that plan no matter what. See you later.